What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Path of the Network Marketer. It is day 42, episode 42. All right, all right, all right. A little Matthew McConaughey moment there. That was completely unpurposeful. Did not mean to do that. But it's there. It's recorded. It's in the internet. All right, all right, all right. I'll do the whole episode in a Matthew McConaughey accent. Well, whatever. I thought I could pull it off for a little bit, but I'm not really good at improving when it comes to playing other characters. I like to have a script. If it's just me talking about network marketing, I can riff off the top of my head all day long. Anyways, neither here nor there. Welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Yesterday, we just wrapped a 4-part series on podcasting and how to start your own podcast, The Easy Guide, right, by Ronnie Cruz. And so that was actually very, very well received. Thank you guys for tuning into that. Because it was so well received, actually, I'm creating an actual guide, a written guide, fleshing out the ideas a little bit more, and a guide that you can read step by step, follow along, so that in 4 steps you can have your podcast up and running and released to the world. So stay tuned for that. I'll let you know when that's ready. It's actually almost ready to be released. So I'll have that in I guess within the next week or so. Um, that said, I do want to step away from the marketing a little bit, from the online stuff, and kind of hone back in and refocus on network marketing. Part of my process with this show is, of course, to share my perspectives, my observations with you. Well, because I've been in this darn profession for so long, but also, yeah, in part of my method is to document, don't create. So I definitely want to continue to do that while also giving you guys content that can serve you in your network marketing journeys. Now, if you've read the title of today's episode, you kind of know where my head is at. Um, yeah. I think it's we teeter the line, right? Okay, let me backtrack before I get into that. The title that we as network marketers think too highly of ourselves. It's I don't necessarily believe that of the profession as a whole, right? I mean, I actually don't even believe that as of the majority of the people in the profession. I think there are there. It's more that is a pattern that we can fall into as network marketers, and like naturally so. I mean, I know I've fallen into that pattern myself in my career in the past, especially early on in my success. I may actually even slip back into that pattern moving forward, right, and into the future. But now that I do have this perspective, I can catch myself in this pattern before it does. Well, yeah, before any kind of things go off the rails. I bring this topic up because, well, yeah, from my perspective, the one of the most important, if not the most important aspect of what we do as network marketers is communication. Communicating with the individual that's sitting in front of us, whether it's a prospect, whether it's another network marketer, whether it's somebody on our team, whether it's a customer of ours. Clear communication without pretense, so that you're free and open to discover more about the individual that you're talking to, so that you can better serve them. It's as simple as that. And in this profession, we unfortunately have been taught, and I really want to change and make a shift in mindset in the profession on this. So I'm going to be a huge proponent in campaigning for this. Let's get rid of the word posturing, right? Let's stop posturing. Really, like, because posturing, to me, over the years, what I've seen it, and today, to this very day, for me, it just screams of pretense, right? It screams of pretense, and pretense obviously creates barriers, it creates walls, and there's no real connection made. Without connection, again, how can we help each other in this conversation, or how can we even get to a point where we can discover more about each other, so that we can see whether or not we can help each other in the conversation. And so yeah, like, posturing can then lead to, because of the barriers, because of the walls, I mean, and I get it, right? Like, I've heard it time and time again, in basic fundamental training. The person with the most belief in the conversation always wins, right? And it's always about getting the one up in the conversation. Yeah, fundamentally on paper it sounds great, but in practice, in the long term, if it's not explained, right? If it's not really like dissected and taught well, it can run rampant, and that principle can really go awry. Again, posturing can end up creating barriers, and when you have barriers in conversation, it's always a versus situation. In a versus situation, you're always gonna, in even unconsciously, you know, create the belief that you're right in a versus situation, because you don't like, your brain is not going to tell you that you're the one in, that's wrong in a conversation, right? If it's a versus, if you're posturing, you're always going to try to get that leg up. And so if you're always trying to get that leg up, you're always trying to be right, you really start to buy into that in the long term. If you're doing this, if you're engaging in this type of posturing and behavior for in for a long span of time, it becomes a personality trait. It becomes a pattern, that you're that that's how you carry yourself in all conversation. And really the problem then is that, man, I don't, yeah, nobody's going to want to talk to you. Nobody's going to want to talk to you. You'll think that you've had a great conversation, because obviously you're your own best cheerleader in that situation, and you believe so much in your own rightness. But the other people walking out of that conversation are just going to be like, I don't really want to interact with that individual ever again. And so there goes that sale. Stop believing in your own rightness, especially for those of you who are leaders in this profession, with my Dr. Evil air quotes. Yeah, there's no one right way of doing things. The way you did things got you to where you are, and that's great. But I have different motivations. The next person beside me has different motivations, different drivers, different reasons why they're in this business. And so the mechanics and the methods that they use to get to their destination is going to be drastically different, because it has drastically different motivators and drivers, right? It's as simple as that. So to come into a conversation and speak as if you're the one singular authority, in anything, it's really, yeah, well, it's tiring for one, at the very best, right? At the very worst, it's off-putting, and people won't ever want to talk to you again. We got to really stop buying into our own rightness, because believing in our own rightness, well, it becomes self-righteous, right? Self-righteousness, and believing in our own rightness, well, if we believe so much in our own rightness, then everybody else is wrong. Again, posturing creates barriers, and a versus situation. If you posture so much and that's all you know how to do in conversations now, it's because it's a pattern that you've done for so long. Then you're always going to be right in your own head, and if you're always right in your own head, everybody else is wrong. No wonder, guys. No wonder people outside of the network marketing profession don't like to talk to us. Right? Right? No wonder. Well, one of the many reasons, but like I think this plays really into, well, yeah, why we have such a bad rap, and why people still, have a bad taste in their mouth about our profession. I want to preach authenticity. Be the real, vulnerable, flawed you, and be as open and honest as possible, because I mean it's going to be a more meaningful, interaction, if for nobody else but for yourself, right? You can then be assured that you did, well, yeah, that you weren't using tactics to try to connect with people. You were just trying to connect with people. Simple as that. Simple as that. So let's stop thinking too highly of ourselves. Be open, to what the other people are trying to say and communicate, in the conversation, and just in life in general. So that's my advice for you guys today. More tomorrow, on network marketing and observations. I want to talk a little bit about culture, and how important that is to building a business that lasts, right? That's what we're all in here for, right? To have a lifetime residual income. People talk about it all the time in the profession, but does it really exist? We'll answer that tomorrow. So until then, guys, well, be well, be safe. We'll see you in the next episode.